Hey kids, it's Miss Hawkins. I really miss you and I hope you're doing good at home with your family. I just thought when I went to school today that I would grab some of the books that we bought at the book fair for our class and share some of the stories with you because I really miss reading stories to you. So, our first one is The Squirrels Who Squabbled. You know what the word squabbled means? It means that you're fighting. So let's see what happens to these squirrels. In a towering forest where summer had been, the leaves turned to gold as a cold wind blew in. And as autumn arrived with the sky raging red, the sleepiest creatures got ready for bed. While up in a tree swung a flighty young squirrel, who everyone knew as Spontaneous Sorrel. Now most foresty folk had seen to their needs, though the plentiful months of mushrooms and seeds. They built up their stores so they'd all be well fed through the frosting of winter that glittering had. But Cyril, he lived in the now and the here. He'd adventured and partied his way through the year, so his cupboard was empty, his hollow was bare. He hadn't a mouthful of food anywhere. But Cyril wasn't alone. There were more hungry eyes. Yes, plan ahead Bruce had his sights on the prize. Though he'd gathered fresh treasures of every sort, Bruce was convinced he was one pine cone short. I simply must have it, he wistfully cried, as he dreamt of the fresh, juicy pine nuts inside. How much food he had. That's kind of greedy, huh? So, as Cyril set off on his way to the ground, Bruce, he was also last pine cone bound. They sprinted and scurried with no time to gamble. They scratched at the bark in their scampering scramble. But their panic and haste shook the tips of the spruce, and the pine cone, it trembled, and then it came loose. It boinged over bushes. Oops, I skipped a page. Hang on. Both squirrels gave a chase at a lightning pace. This was the start of a wild, nutty race. It's mine, shouted Cyril. No, mine, hollered Bruce. You don't stand a chance. Give up, it's no use. I'm hungry, cried Cyril. This cone is not yours. Stay back, shouted Bruce. This cone's for my stores. It boinged over bushes and flew through the air. It binged on the nose of a slumbering bear. It bounced over boulders, then came to a stop. Then teetered and wobbled and quivered and... what do you think's gonna happen? Plop! Both squirrels followed. Oh, the water was fast. Would they learn that they needed each other at last? But each was intent on how he could win, so they didn't quite notice a bird swooping in. Cyril and Bruce, they watched in dismay as their cone disappeared, up, 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 and away. Come back, shouted Cyril. There are nuts, exclaimed Bruce. But all hope was gone. It was simply no use. And meanwhile they drifted right up to the ledge. Greed was driving them over the edge. Cyril and Bruce, they had taken a fall. They were paying the price for wanting it all. They squandered their chances to team up and share. Would their nutty young hopes simply end in despair? Bruised and bedraggled, they swept past dry land. Cyril grabbed a branch with one trembling hand. Catching Bruce with the other, he heaved and he huffed, and he pulled him to safety with panting and puffs. They dragged themselves up with sputtering wiggles. Then Bruce looked at Cyril and and exploded in giggles. "How silly we are," he managed to mutter. "How greedy I've been," he proclaimed with a sputter. "We shall change from today. May the squabbling cease. We should celebrate, seeing that we are both in one piece." From that day forward, they made a great pair. They would gather together and found they could share. Yes, Cyril and Bruce, they knew in the end the best thing to share is a laugh with your friend. The end. Hopefully soon we'll all be able to be back in our room laughing and reading books together. I hope your mom shares this with you or your dad, and maybe I'll send you another video soon.